I wake to the sound of a dog barking, not close, but not far enough to ignore. It's a thin, repetitive sound, the kind that means the dog is either defending something or asking for something. After a minute, it stops. The silence that follows feels less like a pause and more like a held breath. I keep my eyes closed and listen for anything else. A distant engine, a shout. The deeper thud that sometimes rolls through the ground when a building collapses somewhere uptown. Nothing, just my own pulse. And the faint hum of the small refrigerator in the kitchen, a gurgle of coolant that tells me the solar battery still has a few hours of stored power. The apartment is cold. It's always cold now. Except in the worst of summer, and summer is already a memory. I can feel the chill pressing against my face, the rest of me buried under a heap of blankets that smell faintly of dust and old wool. I keep meaning to air them on the balcony, but the balcony faces the street and I don't like standing out there longer than necessary. Too visible, old habit. I slide one foot out from under the covers and rest it on the floor. The floorboards are cool, slightly gritty with the fine gray dust that seems to bleed out of the walls these days. I wiggle my toes. Everything works. The small gesture is my morning ritual, a tiny diagnostic. Toes, ankles, knees, hips. Then my fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders. I flex and rotate. Cataloging the twinges and creaks, my left shoulder still aches from hauling water last week, but it's a familiar ache, manageable. I roll my neck until it pops some mornings. That crack is the most satisfying sound of the day. I open my eyes to the ceiling, water stain shaped like a whale, or maybe a mushroom cloud. I've stared at it so often I've given it a name. Gerald. Gerald has expanded slightly over the past month, but the roof hasn't leaked yet. I'll check it later. I have a list. Written in pencil on a scrap of cardboard that lives on the kitchen counter. Roof seam, check sealant. Filter bucket, clean pre-filter. Radio check, 8 a.m. inventory canned goods. Rotate oldest. That last one is aspirational. I rotate when I eat, and I eat what I have. Today's list is short. Today I'm going to mend the jacket. The left elbow has worn through. And I've been putting it off because mending feels like an admission that I'll be wearing this same jacket for a long time. It's a good jacket, canvas, lined. With a high collar that keeps the wind off my neck, but it was never meant to be my only outerwear. I bought it 3 years ago at a department store during a clearance sale. $20. I remember the woman at the register saying, "At least you'll be ready for the end of the world," and we both laughed. I think about her sometimes. I hope she had a jacket too. I sit up. The blankets pooling around my waist and look toward the window. The curtains are thick, old velvet that I scavenged from an empty apartment on the 3rd floor. They block most of the light, but a narrow sliver of gray leaks in through the gap where the 2 panels don't quite meet. Dawn, or what passes for it. The sky has been overcast for a week, a flat, hollow white that diffuses the light evenly from horizon to horizon. No shadows. It makes it hard to tell time without a clock. I used to trust the angle of the light, but now that doesn't work. The sun is weak, and the world seems to have gone monochrome. Beside my bed, on a low wooden crate that serves as a nightstand, sits a wind-up clock. Its luminous dial shows 7:30. I reach for it, careful not to knock over the water glass. The glass is half full, a thin film of something oily on the surface. I should boil again today. The water filter is good, but I don't trust it completely. A little extra heat never hurts. I wind the clock first, feeling the smooth resistance of the gears through the little key. 5 turns. Any more and I risk snapping the spring. It's a neat little machine rescued from a garage sale 2 years ago, long before the collapse. I used to think of it as a charming antique. Now it's more reliable than any digital device. I set the alarm for 10 p.m., though I rarely need it. I'll be winding down by then anyway. The days are shorter now. Not because the earth spins faster, but because the dark feels heavier and I'm more willing to surrender to it. I swing my legs over the edge of the bed and stand. The floor protests with a soft creak. My apartment is small, one room that serves as everything. Bed, kitchenette, a table that functions as both desk and dining surface, a single armchair with a threadbare cushion, and a bookshelf stuffed with novels I've read twice already. I keep telling myself I'll trade them if I ever find another survivor who wants to barter. But the idea of giving away a book feels wrong. Books are heavy, yes, but they're also a kind of insulation, sound dampening for the mind. The kitchenette occupies the far corner. A narrow strip of counter under a window that looks into the building's air shaft. The view is nothing but brick and a tangle of old telephone wires, but at least it lets in light. I shuffle over, pull back the small curtain, and peer out. The air shaft is quiet, no flotsam from the upper floors, no sign of recent movement. The building has 5 stories, and I'm on the 4th. I know there are at least 2 other people still living in the building, though I haven't seen them in weeks. I hear them sometimes. Footsteps in the stairwell, a door closing. The faint smell of cooking that drifts through the vents. We don't seek each other out. There's an unspoken agreement that proximity is manageable, but contact is a liability. We're all hoarding our own fragile safety, and we know it. I turn on the tap. Nothing. The water in the pipes gave out 2 months after the municipal system failed. I have a plastic jug on the counter, filled from the rain barrel on the roof. It's clean enough after filtering, but the taste is flat, metallic. I pour a cup into the small saucepan and set it on the camp stove. The stove is a compact butane model, gifted to me by a neighbor who decided to move south before the worst of it. She left a canister and a spare. I have 3 canisters left. That's enough for maybe 200 more uses if I'm careful. After that, I'll have to switch to the alcohol burner, which smells worse and leaves soot on everything. Lighting the stove is a ritual. I kneel in front of it because the counter is too low to work comfortably while standing, and the kneeling brings my face close to the burner. I turn the canister valve a quarter turn, listening for the faint hiss of gas. The smell is sharp and chemical, a clean smell. I wait 3 seconds, letting the gas pool in the burner cup. Too soon. And the igniter will spark without catching. Too late, and I risk a flare-up that could singe my eyebrows. I've learned the exact timing through trial and error. And the learning cost me a few wisps of hair. I press the igniter button. Click nothing. Click nothing. On the 3rd click, a soft whump and a ring of blue flame blossoms around the burner. The sound is deeply satisfying, a tiny engine roaring to life. I adjust the flame until it's a calm, even blue crown, just high enough to heat the water without blackening the bottom of the pan. I sit back on my heels and watch it for a moment. The flame is hypnotic, a pocket of contained energy. It's easy to forget, in the silence, that fire is a living thing. I try not to be sentimental about it, but there's a small part of me that thinks of this stove as a companion. While the water heats, I get dressed. My wardrobe is limited to what fits in a single plastic bin. I pick out a pair of thick socks, thermal leggings, jeans that are more patches than original denim, and a long-sleeved shirt. Over that, a wool sweater that was once a deep forest green but has faded to the color of moss. The jacket will go on later, after I've mended it. I pull on my boots, sturdy, waterproof, with a hidden pocket inside the left boot where I keep a small utility knife. The knife is sharp, and I sharpen it every Sunday with a pocket whetstone. A meditative act that leaves my fingers smelling of oil and metal. The water begins to quiver, tiny bubbles clinging to the sides of the pan. I drop a pinch of salt into the water, a habit from before, when salt was cheap and plentiful. Now, each pinch is measured, part of a careful equation of supplies. I have a 2-pound bag in the cupboard, which feels like wealth. Salt will outlast me, I think. I could die of starvation and still leave behind half a bag of salt. The thought is absurd, so I file it away under things not to dwell. I pour the hot water into a chipped ceramic mug, then add a tea bag, real tea. I found a box of English breakfast 3 months ago in the back of a looted cupboard on the second floor. It had been missed, overlooked in the chaos. Now I have 9 bags left. I use them sparingly, only on mornings when the cold feels particularly invasive. This morning qualifies. The tea steeps, releasing a fragrance so rich and familiar that it almost hurts. I lift the mug close to my face, letting the steam warm my cheeks. The scent is a shortcut to older mornings, a busy cafe. The hiss of an espresso machine, the rustle of newspapers. I shut that door quickly. It's better to stay in the present. The past is a hungry ghost. Breakfast is a single ration bar. Dense and oat-based, studded with dried cranberries and sunflower seeds. I made a batch of these 2 weeks ago using the last of my oats and the dregs of a honey jar. They're not delicious, but they're fuel. I chew slowly, making each bite last. The texture is gritty, slightly stale, but the sweet tart burst of a cranberry is a small victory. I wash it down with tea, the astringency cutting through the fat of the nuts. By the time I'm finished, the clock reads 8:15. I wipe my mouth with the back of my hand and set the empty mug in the sink. There's no dishwashing to do. I reuse the same mug all day, rinsing it with a splash of water and a little salt as an abrasive. Time for the radio check. The radio sits on the table. A compact emergency unit with a hand crank and a solar panel on the back. It's ugly bright orange, designed to be seen in a disaster, but it works. I extend the antenna, twist the dial to the preset frequency and turn the volume up until the static hisses to life. The sound is like rain on a tin roof, a constant wash of white noise. I listen for the familiar pulse of the government broadcast, a looping message that plays from some automated transmitter far away. It's been running for months now, unchanged. A voice so calm it's almost insulting. There, the static parts and the voice emerges. A woman's voice, crisp and measured, reciting the message I know by heart. This is a recorded broadcast of the Emergency Information Network. All citizens are advised to remain in place unless relocation is authorized. Safety zones are designated in the following sectors: Greenville, Oak Ridge, Lakeside Annex. Rations will be distributed at designated centers every Thursday at noon. Danger advisory: avoid downtown district. Report contaminated water sources. Stay tuned for updates. A pause, then the message repeats. The list of safety zones hasn't changed in weeks. None of them are close. I'm not sure they even exist anymore. Still, I write down the date and time in my logbook, along with the word Greenville in neat letters. It's a ritual, a way of marking that another day has passed in the official timeline. If anyone ever finds the logbook, they'll see a string of identical entries, a litany of distant names that mean nothing. I turn the radio off to save power. The room settles back into silence, but it's a different silence now, colored by the after-echo of that artificial voice. I stir the dust motes with my movement and watch them spiral in the pale light from the air shaft. The window pane rattles slightly as a gust of wind works its way through the alley. I think about the jacket again. The elbow is calling to me, a soft, frayed whisper in the corner of the room where the jacket hangs on a hook. Fine, I'll do it now, before the day gets eaten by smaller tasks. The mending kit is stored in an old biscuit tin, the kind that once held butter cookies. I keep it on the bookshelf, next to a dog-eared copy of Small Craft for Small Spaces. The tin is rusted along the seams, but the lid still fits snugly. Inside, 3 needles of varying sizes, a small pair of scissors, 2 spools of sturdy thread, 1 black, 1 olive drab, a thimble that belonged to my grandmother, and an assortment of buttons harvested from dead clothes. The thimble is sterling silver, Tarnished now, and it fits my middle finger perfectly. My grandmother was a seamstress in a factory, and she taught me to sew when I was a child. I didn't appreciate it then. I thought sewing was tedious, something adults did because they had to. Now, each stitch feels like a tiny act of rebellion against the unraveling. I take the jacket from its hook and lay it across the table, smoothing out the fabric. The left elbow is worn through to the lining, a ragged oval of exposed threads. I run my finger around the edge of the hole. The canvas is stiff, almost brittle from years of wear and too many washings. I could patch it with a scrap from an old pair of trousers I've been hoarding, but the color won't match. The trousers are navy, the jacket is brown. Mismatched patches bother me. A leftover vanity from a world where appearances mattered. Then I remember that the only person who will see this patch is me, and maybe the occasional pigeon on the roof. I pull the trousers from my fabric stasher, heap of worn-out garments in a plastic bin, and cut a rough rectangle, a little larger than the hole. The scissors make a satisfying crunch as they bite through the denim. Threading the needle requires patience and good light, two things I have in short supply. I position myself near the air shaft window, angling the needle until I catch the faint gleam of the white thread against the brick wall. The thread is a bit furry from age, and the end frays each time I try to push it through the eye. I wet the tip with my tongue, twist it between my fingers, and try again. On the fourth attempt, it slips through, a tiny victory. I pull the thread until the ends are even, then tie a simple overhand knot. The actual sewing is a meditative rhythm. Push the needle through from the back, pull it gently. Feel the thread bite into the fabric, then push it back from the front. I keep the stitches small and close together, a running stitch that follows the contour of the hole. The thimble presses against my fingertip, protecting me from the needle's dull point. I've pricked myself so many times over the years that the pad of my index finger is a map of tiny scars. Each scar has a story, though most of them are boring. A hem on a skirt, a button on a shirt. This patch will add a new story. The story of the autumn when the world stopped and I spent an hour fixing a jacket so that I wouldn't feel the wind on my elbow. As I stitch, my mind wanders. It's impossible to stop it. I think about the last time I saw a crowd of people. It was at a distribution center. Early on, when the city still thought it could manage things. I stood in a line that stretched 3 blocks, surrounded by men and women with hollow eyes and reusable bags. The air was thick with tension, every cough and muttered word a potential spark. A woman behind me was crying softly, and no one comforted her because comforting was a luxury. When I finally reached the front, they gave me a single box of macaroni and cheese and a can of beans. The can had a dent, and the volunteer said, "It's still good," as if I had a choice. I took it, walked home, and never went back. That was the day I decided to rely on what I could find and what I could keep, rather than what the world might offer. The patch is nearly done. I tie off the thread with a series of tiny knots, pull it tight, and snip the excess. The repair is serviceable, not pretty. The navy square stands out against the brown canvas like a badge. I run my hand over it. The fabric is secure. It will hold. I fold the jacket and set it back on the hook. My shoulder aches a little from hunching over the work, but it's a good ache. I stretch my arms overhead, feeling the pull across my chest, and the sound of my own vertebrae cracking is a small, satisfying reward. By now, it's mid-morning. The light from the air shaft has shifted slightly, a brighter gray that suggests the sun is somewhere above the overcast. I check the clock, 10:15. Time to deal with water. I keep my primary water source in the kitchenette, a 5-gallon bucket fitted with a ceramic gravity filter. It's a simple setup, 2 containers stacked, with a filter element between them. Dirty water goes in the top, clean water drips into the bottom, filtered at a rate of about 1 gallon per hour. I collect rainwater from a barrel on the roof. hauling it down in a collapsible jug and pour it through a cloth pre-filter to remove the larger debris. The pre-filter I made from an old t-shirt stretched over a funnel. It works, though it's ugly. I checked the filter element today. The ceramic candle is coated with a slimy film of brownish muck. I remove the upper container and carefully unscrew the filter, cradling it in my hands like a holy relic. The ceramic is cold, heavy, and the smell of it is vaguely earthy. I take a scouring pad from under the sink and gently scrub the surface, rotating the filter as I work. A thin slurry of sediment washes down the drain. I'll need to replace the filter eventually, but for now, this extends its life after scrubbing. I rinse it with a precious splash of clean water from the lower container, then reassemble the system. The sight of the water dripping through, clear and cold, is deeply reassuring. It's a mechanical miracle, this thing. Gravity and ceramic, separating me from dysentery. I fill my drinking bottle from the lower spigot. The bottle is a heavy-duty Nalgene, covered in stickers from national parks I visited in a previous life. Yosemite, Zion, the Grand Canyon. I trace the outline of Half Dome with my fingernail, feeling the slightly raised plastic. Those trips feel like they happened to someone else. I was someone who hiked for fun, who complained about blisters and lack of cell service. I packed granola bars and took pictures of sunsets. Now I ration calories and take pictures of nothing, because there's no battery for my phone, and more to the point, no one to send them to. The stickers are a reminder, but also a taunt. I keep the bottle anyway. Lunch is a can of baked beans eaten cold because I don't want to waste fuel. I pry open the can with a manual opener, another antique tool that has become essential, and the metallic pop echoes in the small room. The beans are a homogeneous orange-brown, thick with sugary sauce. I eat them straight from the can, using a spoon I keep in my pocket. The sweetness coats my tongue, and the texture is soft, almost too soft. I chew slowly, counting each bite, because counting stretches the meal. By the end, my stomach feels full, but my taste buds are unsatisfied. I rinse the can with a little water, drink the soupy residue, and set the empty can in the recycling bin, which is really just a pile of cans I'm saving for some future project I haven't imagined yet. While I eat, I listen to the building. Sounds travel oddly now, unfiltered by the constant hum of appliances and traffic. I can hear the faint scratch of a rodent in the wall's mice. Probably, though I've never seen one. I hear a distant thud, something heavy falling somewhere lower in the building. Then silence, followed by the creak of the old wooden frame settling. The building is breathing around me. I've grown to think of it as a kind of organism, a shell that shelters me and a few other quiet creatures. We're like hermit crabs, borrowing an architecture that used to hold louder lives. After lunch, I gather my gear for a trip to the roof. The solar panel up there is my lifeline. It's a small folding unit, maybe 2 feet by 4, that I salvaged from a camping store on a raid last year. The raid was tense. The store was partially collapsed, the ceiling sagging, and I nearly turned back twice. But I thought about the dark nights without a working radio, without the ability to charge a flashlight, and I forced myself forward. Now the panel sits on the roof, angled toward the southern sky, secured with bungee cords and a prayer. A cable runs down the side of the building and through my window, connecting to a charge controller and a deep cycle battery that lives under my table. The system provides just enough power for the radio, a single dim LED lamp, and the refrigerator's occasional cycle. It's not a lot, but it's enough to keep the edge off survival. I pull on my patch jacket, the mended elbow feeling stout and capable. I grab a coil of paracord, a small Phillips head screwdriver, and a clean rag. The cable needs tightening. I noticed last week that the connection was loose, causing the charge light to flicker. If I don't fix it, I'll lose power on a cloudy day, and that's not a gamble I'm willing to take. I fill my pocket with a handful of zip ties. Because zip ties are the duct tape of the apocalypse. The hallway outside my door is dark and smells of old plaster and damp. The carpet is worn to the backing, and my footsteps are muffled. I pause at the top of the stairwell, listening. The stairs are concrete, and they carry sound like a drum. If someone is coming up, I'll hear them. I know the other residents by the rhythm of their walking. The man on the 5th floor, for example, walks with a limp, a distinct shuffle tap. The woman on the 2nd floor wears heavy boots and moves quickly, as if she's always in a hurry. I haven't named them. Naming would make them real in a way I'm not ready for. But I know their sounds. Today, there's nothing. Just the still air. I climb the stairs to the roof access door. The door is metal, heavy, and I have to lean against it with my shoulder to push it open. The hinges groan, and the sound echoes down the stairwell. I wince. Stealth is a habit I can't shake. Even though there's rarely anyone to alert. I step onto the roof and the wind hits me immediately. A cold, damp wind that smells of wet concrete and the faint, acrid tang of a distant fire. The overcast sky is a uniform gray dome, but the light is startlingly bright after the dim interior. I squint and pull my collar up around my ears. The roof is a flat expanse of tar paper and gravel, surrounded by a low parapet. My solar panel sits in the center, facing south, its black surface drinking in the diffuse light. Next to it is the rain barrel, a repurposed plastic drum with a mesh screen over the top to keep out leaves and bird droppings. The screen is full of small, soggy clumps, evidence that the local pigeons are still using this building as a rest stop. I make a mental note to clean the screen before the next rainfall. The barrel is about 3/4 full, which is good. I'll need to haul some water down this afternoon. I'm going through about 2 gallons a day, including drinking, cooking, and basic hygiene. So a full barrel lasts me roughly a week if the rain holds. It hasn't rained in 9 days. The barrel's water level is a constant, quiet anxiety. I walk to the parapet and look out over the city. The view from here is unsettlingly beautiful. To the east, the skyline is a jagged profile of broken towers, some with windows still intact, many with gaping holes that let the light pass through. The streets below are choked with abandoned vehicles, their paint dulled by a layer of gray ash. A few trees have managed to overturn the sidewalks, their roots splitting the concrete. A shaggy dog, or maybe a coyote, trots down the middle of the avenue, pausing to sniff at a crumpled newspaper box. I watch it for a moment, a tiny, alive thing moving through the static landscape. It disappears around a corner, and I feel a pang of something like loneliness, not for the animal, but for the normalcy of a world where dogs have owners and newspapers have days. I turn away and focus on the solar panel. Kneeling down, I inspect the cable where it connects to the charge controller. The plastic casing is cracked, and the metal contacts are slightly corroded. Nothing alarming, but enough to cause resistance. I unplug the cable and use the screwdriver to gently scrape the corrosion away, revealing clean copper beneath. Then I reattach the connection, tightening it until it's snug and secure, a zip tie around the joint to prevent it from pulling loose. I wipe the panel surface with the rag, smearing away a layer of dust and bird lime. The glass is still mostly intact, though there's a small star-shaped crack in one corner where a piece of debris hit it during a storm. I covered the crack with a bit of clear packing tape months ago, and it's held up surprisingly well. I test the connection by plugging in a small USB meter. The charge light blinks a steady green. Good. Power secured for another week. I stay on the roof longer than necessary. The cold is bracing, but the isolation is a different kind of quiet from the apartment. Up here, I can see the sky, the full bowl of it, and I can hear the wind without the building's filter. I sit on the low parapet, my back against a vent pipe, and close my eyes. The wind buffets my face gently. and I can taste the faint metallic tang of the city's decay on the back of my tongue. I let my mind empty, not deliberately, but because there's nothing to fill it with, no urgent tasks. No radio voices, no inventory lists, just the wind and the sound of my own breathing. The moment feels stolen, like a small crime against the universe's expectation that I should be suffering. After a while, my fingers grow numb and my stomach gives a low, plaintive groan. Time to go back down. I stand, gather my tools, and take one last look at the city. A thin column of smoke is rising from somewhere to the southwest, blacker than the overcast, and I wonder if it's a controlled burn or something worse. I'll find out tonight on the radio, maybe. I don't dwell on it. The descent to my apartment is quicker than the climb, gravity helping, but I'm careful because a twisted ankle could be disastrous. I unlock my door. The lock is a simple deadbolt I installed myself, with a reinforcement plate that makes the frame heavier, and step inside. The apartment smells faintly of tea and beans. I close the door, lock it, and lean my forehead against the wood for a moment. Safe. It's a small word, but it means the same thing it always did. 4 walls, a working stove, a patch of floor that doesn't shake. I spend the next hour tidying. Tidying is an occupational hazard of the solitary. When you're alone, every small mess is a monument to your own neglect. I sweep the floor with a broom made of twigs and string, collecting dust bunnies and a stray button that rolled under the table months ago. I realign the cans in the cupboard, labels facing out, because I find order in the neat rows of food. I check the expiration dates obsessively, even though I know exactly what I have. The dates are mostly a formality. A can of peas that expired 6 months ago is still perfectly edible if the seal is intact. Still, I rotate the stock, pushing the oldest to the front. The sight of the full shelves is a comfort. I have enough food for 3 months if I stretch it. Maybe 4, enough to get through winter. After that, I'll have to forage more aggressively or find a new source. Thinking beyond that is too scary, so I don't. As the afternoon wanes, the light from the air shaft begins to dim. The shift is subtle at first, a gradual softening of the gray. Then suddenly the room is full of shadows. I light the oil lamp. The lamp is a repurposed mason jar with a wire handle and a wick holder that I made from a scrap of copper tubing. The fuel is a mixture of cooking oil and a little paraffin wax, which I melted together in a double boiler. The wick is a strip of old cotton sock. It smokes a bit when I first light it. But once the flame steadies, it burns surprisingly clean. The light is warm and golden, a stark contrast to the flat gray of the daytime. It pools around the table, leaving the corners of the room in deepening darkness. I set the lamp in the center and settle into the armchair with a book. The book is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I know. I found it in a box of books I'd brought from my old place, and I read it now not as entertainment but as a kind of calibration. The father and son in that story are moving through a world much more desolate than mine, and yet they persist. I find a strange comfort in their suffering. As if by reading it, I can remind myself that my own situation is, by comparison, almost cozy. It's a dark comfort, but it works. I read by lamplight, the pages crackling slightly, the paper smelling of age and the faint residue of a previous reader's hand. The words blur sometimes, and I realize I'm not really reading. I'm just letting my eyes move over the sentences while my mind drifts. I set the book aside and stare at the lamp's flame, watching it dance and gutter in an imperceptible draught. Dusk comes fully and the room settles into a deep velvety darkness punctuated by the single point of light. I turn on the radio again, tuning to the evening check-in frequency. The same voice, the same message, but tonight there's a change. After the list of safety zones, there's a brief, unexpected segment. Attention. A weather advisory is in effect for the following regions: Capital District, East Valley, North Ridge, Severe rainfall expected within the next 48 hours. Secure outdoor equipment and check drainage systems. Repeat, the voice loops back. But my heart gives a small, hopeful leap. Rain. Real rain. If it comes, my barrel will fill and I can stop rationing the water so tightly. I can even take a strip wash with warm water. A luxury I haven't had in a week. I mark the advisory in my logbook with an exclamation point. It feels like a gift. I celebrate the news with a modest dinner. I boil a handful of macaroni, one of my last boxes, and stir in a spoonful of powdered cheese from a survival food packet. The result is a bright orange sludge that clings to the pasta in a way that is both unappetizing and deeply satisfying. I eat it from the saucepan sitting at the table. The lamp throwing my shadow against the wall in a way that makes me look larger than I am. Between bites, I think about the rain. I'll need to make sure the gutter on the roof is clear, and that the screen on the barrel is clean. I'll do that first thing tomorrow. I mentally add it to the list on the cardboard scrap. After dinner, I wash my face and hands with a little water, heated in the saucepan's residual warmth. The water is precious, but the feeling of a clean face is a small revival. I use a scrap of soap that smells faintly of oatmeal. The soap was a lucky find, a forgotten luxury in a bathroom cabinet. I've been nursing it for months, using it only when I feel the need to reclaim some humanity. Tonight the need is strong. I lather my skin, scrubbing the grime from my pores, and rinse carefully, catching the runoff in a bowl to reuse later for cleaning. The ritual grounds me, the way the oil lamp gives the room a soft, human-scale glow. Once the dishes are done, the saucepan is wiped clean with a rag and set to dry. I check the door lock and the window latch. I tug the curtains closed, making sure the overlap is complete enough to block any light from escaping. There is no specific threat I'm aware of, but the habit is ingrained. Darkness is a cloak, and I wear it willingly. I strip off my outer layers and slip into the bed, still wearing my thermal leggings and a thin t-shirt. The sheets are cold, but the weight of the blankets is a balm. I lie on my back, staring at the water stain on the ceiling. Gerald is still there, unchanged. The lamp flickers on the table, its oil running low, and I watch the flame until it begins to sputter and shrink. I could refill it, but I don't. The dark is a friend too. In the dark, I can pretend the world outside is just sleeping, not dying. My mind replays the day in a loose, disordered montage. The dog barking, the tea, the patch on my jacket, the bird on the parapet, the cheese sauce. Each fragment is a small, durable thread that ties me to the passage of time. I think about the rain that might come tomorrow, the sound of droplets on the roof, the clean smell of wet concrete. I think about the woman on the radio, her voice a ghost in the static, a reminder that somewhere, someone is still talking into a microphone. I think about the coyote dog padding through the empty street, and I wonder if it found food. I wonder if it has a pack. The lamp gutters once more and dies, leaving a thin trail of smoke and the faint smell of burnt oil. The darkness is absolute. I close my eyes and listen to the building settle. A slow exhale of wood and brick. A distant muffled sound, like a door closing deep within the structure, reaches me, and then silence. In the quiet, my heartbeat is a steady clock, counting down to sleep. I feel the cold edge of my pillow, the warmth of my own breath trapped under the blanket, the slight ache in my shoulder that means I'm still alive. The day folds up neatly, like a piece of paper, and I place it in the drawer of nights where nothing terrible happened. Tomorrow there will be more water to filter, more stitches to sew, more buttons to count. But tonight, I am warm and fed, and the rain is on its way. That's enough. I let the night take me.